Okay, folks, I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. It is a video that I done some research on, got back to, etc. But we're going to talk about Puerto Rico and the tax savings that you get living in Puerto Rico. Why so many crypto millionaires, billionaires, stock millionaires, investors, everyone and their mama is investing in Puerto Rico that has any type of money, that has capital gains that they want to not pay taxes on, and it's such a benefit. Puerto Rico has boomed as one of the biggest tax havens out there, and it is incredible. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and cover Puerto Rico, the 4% tax rate in Puerto Rico, and why you may want to consider it for all of your endeavors. Before I get into this video, I always ask that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm dropping this knowledge for free. It's free to you. Give me a like. Let's get into this video. Okay, so there are famous YouTubers that went to Puerto Rico. Logan Paul, who else? Jake Paul, the Paul brothers, they're in Puerto Rico. There are so many other crypto millionaires and billionaires that are moving to Puerto Rico or have. If you're single and you're considering moving somewhere, and if you have like an IT business or a business that you could run out of Puerto Rico, or if you're about to cash out on a lot of money from stocks, from gains, etc., you really need to consider that move. If you have children and they're fully grown at this time, or if you have any type of opportunity to cash out a lump sum on anything, Puerto Rico is the place to be. And here's why. Puerto Rico has a 4% corporate tax rate. That's it, 4% flat tax rate compared to a 21% tax rate everywhere else. That's on the corporate level. And Puerto Rico, guess what, has a 0% capital gains tax rate. The U.S. typically has a 0%, 15%, or 20%, depending on your income, in terms of capital gains. That's huge. And that's on gains held longer than a year. So stocks that you hold longer than a year. And if you hold stocks or, crypto a year or less, you could fall into a bracket that's up to 37% on capital gains. Capital gains is basically profit from a sale of a stock or crypto, or even any type of asset. The asset could be tangible or intangible, such as an NFT or a crypto coin. Short-term capital gains are if you own something for less than a year, long-term if you own something over a year. So Puerto Rico, with a 0% capital gains tax, is a tax haven. Now, in order to be a 4% tax or corporate tax benefit in Puerto Rico for businesses, there are eligible businesses that have to meet those standards. But data, call centers, investment banking, there are so many, and I'll list these out right here. You could take a look, but it's just basically wide open. So the tax savings are, if you're a resident of Puerto Rico, obviously you could be a resident of Puerto Rico if you are living there 6 months plus 1 day a year. Of course, you have to have your banking in Puerto Rico, your doctors, etc. The IRS will really need to know that you're a resident of Puerto Rico. But the biggest draw, again, is just the capital gains in Puerto Rico at 0%. It's one of the biggest advantages, and Puerto Rico did that to welcome investors, and boy, did they ever. If you look up Puerto Rico's luxury real estate, it's mainly in Dorado Beach or maybe San Juan, which are two great locations in Puerto Rico. But Dorado Beach and San Juan, houses are going for $5 to $6 million. It's something incredible. It's like Palo Alto out here, or Silicon Valley, or some of the most expensive zip codes, period. That's what Puerto Rico has. So yes, you could get a beautiful on-the-water resort in Puerto Rico, but it's not going to be cheap. And Puerto Rico used to be a lot cheaper, guys. But since the government, or since the state has made a lot more favorable moves for investors to come over to Puerto Rico, the real estate in Puerto Rico has boomed. And you know what is very comparable is the same thing happened to Florida after the pandemic. When the governor has made Florida an open state with everything being open for business and welcoming businesses with also no state income tax rate, a lot of real estate in Florida has also skyrocketed, the same with Texas, but Florida has really led the way with real estate almost doubling. Puerto Rico prices have doubled and tripled and maybe even quadrupled. So to be eligible for zero capital gains, you have to make a mandatory $10,000 donation to Puerto Rico, and you have to own real estate in Puerto Rico and be a bona fide resident of Puerto Rico to get 0% tax gains. Now check with a CPA or a law firm in Puerto Rico if you're considering doing this. If I was a young man without a family, I'd be in Puerto Rico already. So in Puerto Rico, you need to be physically present for 183 days to take advantage of that zero capital gains. Now, if you're sitting on a lot of stocks or crypto or whatever it may be, and you haven't sold, which is great because you're in the long-term capital gains category, you could move out halfway through the year, get a place in Puerto Rico, declare your residency, pay taxes for a year there or so, and then sell and cash out and pay zero capital gains. That's incredible. You probably would have to stay there as well. I'm not sure what the time frame to move back would be, or even if you can, or how that would work, but you should check. And that's insane. So what a lot of people are doing is they own homes in Puerto Rico. They're spending over 6 months a year there. But some of these individuals have to travel all over the country. So if you're a celebrity or if you're some YouTube star or you got some type of meetings that you have to do, they travel, they're staying in hotels or they're staying in places where they don't own the company themselves. Maybe an LLC owns the company and they're renting from that company. And then they're able to take advantage of the Puerto Rico savings, not paying all these gains on their businesses, and really just enjoying life everywhere else in the United States as well, as long as they're conducting business in those states as a short-term visit. So I did read up further on Puerto Rico, and it looks like there's a 3-year minimum to stay in Puerto Rico. So 549 days in 3 years. So there are so many ways to save money with Puerto Rico. There are so many companies out there that will actually consult you on moving to Puerto Rico and taking advantage of the tax savings. This particular article I'm looking at is Expat Advisors. It's a huge firm. You could schedule a consultation with them online and see if you like them, obviously, but they know a lot of the rules that are in regards to Puerto Rico. My thoughts on Puerto Rico. If I am a young entrepreneur, if I have a business that is mobile, if I could be near, or if I am near, say, where my home is in the East Coast particularly, let's say in New York, I would totally move out, get a super sweet, cushy spot in Puerto Rico, take advantage of the capital gains and the business corporate savings, and then travel to places I need to work. It doesn't mean you can't have an office, say in New York or Florida or any place else, to conduct business. As long as you're traveling to that area to conduct business, you're properly timing everything, and you're flying back to Puerto Rico. Yes, it's a nuisance, but remember, Puerto Rico is a Caribbean island. You're going to get that beach life. So for half the year, you could be on the ocean, working off your laptop, enjoying life. That's what we work for. And then half the year, you could be doing whatever you want in Miami and any of the other places and saving a lot of money. If you take into account the 4% tax rate and you take into account the capital gains, you're really honestly potentially saving upwards of 40% on total income tax, depending on the state you live in. That is huge. That's like giving away $40,000 for every $100,000 you earn versus giving away about $4,000 or so for living in Puerto Rico. I know someone that actually has done this recently. I was recently at a friend's house that owns a place in Puerto Rico as well. And they own, I would say this is a $10 million home in a nearby town. And they live in Puerto Rico for half the year and don't pay much on taxes, which is pretty incredible. It pushed me to write this video to make sure that you guys are aware of the Puerto Rico tax saving benefits. One day, who knows, I might have to get out there if I land something big and I know big money is coming my way. That's the best way to make sure that you do things legally and make sure that you keep most of your money. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel. It's all free. I'm not asking anything from you but that biggest favor. I'll catch you here in the next video.